Hello again. This is video number 3 of our return from Israel trip. Steve Martin.
David Peterman.
I sometimes forget to tell them who I am. I'm used to doing the walk with me videos where I always just show the camera in front and they never see who I am. So this is me.
Yep, this is me.
And you were telling in the last video, you were kind of leading them on.
I was leading you into telling a story about trying to find a cup of coffee.
Right. And we were in Isifya. It's by Mount Carmel, northern Israel, Haifa area. And we had not had a good cup of coffee where we're at.
Yes.
We had a nice place. It wasn't a breakfast, but it was a bed.
Yep.
And I think we split $70 a night between the two of us.
Much.
It was good. But we wanted to go to Mount Carmel. And so we just, as we have done many times, in the rental car, we just drive around, and Lord, take us where you want to take us. Well, lo and behold, we stopped off at this restaurant. It didn't look like one. It almost looked like an outdoor garden place or whatever. We stopped. These gnats stopped on my head. And we just walked in. Nobody was there except this older lady and this older gentleman. They were sitting at a table doing what?
Well, she was actually hollowing out little zucchinis to stuff with meat and rice.
Yeah, that was neat.
So, and
they spoke English.
They did speak English, and so as we were there, we said we wanted coffee, and so the guy says, "Well, Nescafe." Everybody makes everything.
And it was Nescafe.
You either get cappuccino or you get Nescafe over there. So
cappuccino's the best.
So he got us some coffee, and they weren't even open. And they waved us in.
They were preparing for dinner.
Yep.
And here this was about noon.
And then on top of it, you know, they're preparing to cook the meal. We had the coffee and we paid them for it, and it was a really nice conversation with them. You know, especially with the gentleman. You talked to him quite a bit.
Yes.
And she's just sitting there cleaning out those zucchinis. And so as we get ready to. You know, we leave and we go up to Mount Carmel. Steve's talking to Hadassah Lerner later on, and she says, "Well, I know this lady."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she'd been on the TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Radio.
Yep. And so what the story is she opened up her restaurant. She went and got certification from the rabbis to be able to serve kosher food to the soldiers, and she opened up a restaurant and was feeding.
She didn't charge
the soldiers. She wasn't charging them. Yes. So. That's and those are Jewish people, which they're kind of a combination of a bit of Judaism and a bit of some other religions, from what I understand.
They're found mostly in northern Israel.
They were taking care of the troops, and that's such that's like, you know, brilliant story. So
and I appreciate how the IDF and Israel is supporting them now in Syria, as that government is coming at them and killing them off. Yeah. But we love these excursions off the beaten path. No bus is ever going to do that.
Yeah, and the randomness of it, you know, it gives the Lord an opportunity to send somebody in your path.
It does.
The divine appointments really do exist, and it's one of the things that, Steve, that I hadn't shared with you yet was when I was in the hostel after you'd left. One of I run into this lady, because you're in a hostel room, so it's sometimes there's ladies in the room and sometimes there's men in the room, and you know it's a
what room
mix.
Are you staying in?
It's what they call a communal room.
Oh, okay, all right.
So you know you got a little curtain and stuff, so you got some privacy, and there's you know, everything's separate, and you know you wear pajamas.
These are the 8 people rooms.
Yeah, well I think it was 10.
I've only stayed in a 2-person.
So, but anyways, I run into this lady, and she was from Korea. And so we got talking, and she said, "Well, I was connected with this church in Korea," and as she was speaking, and she said, "Well, I walked away and I did my own thing and went my own direction, and you know, then my dad, he was supposed to take over the church, but they ended up sending him to another church to open a church," and she said it was one of the largest church in Korea, and I looked at her, and I said, "Was that Yongyo Cho's church?"
Oh, the million people?
It's the largest church in Korea. They don't have buildings to house everybody.
I can
There
imagine that.
are some, but a lot of what Yongyo Cho did in their early times was home groups, and he wrote a book, and I read that book many years ago when I was when I was doing my pastoral internship, and so it was quite interesting to me that the Lord brings this lady, and but then she gave me the opportunity to speak into her life.
Oh, nice.
Then actually some of the things she shared with me was very encouraging. So it's these divine appointments, they just come, but you also you make new friends.
And you have to give the Lord an opportunity to give you those divine appointments.
Amen. Amen.
If you're just on the go all the time, you can pass by the beautiful flower sitting there by the road and never see it.
Never see it. And
there's a saying, something to that effect, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, there's but it's something that's important, that you if you're going to go to Israel and you're not going to take like a tour, that
do that once, and after that, come with us. Ahava tours.
Yeah, just do a short tour, but then also maybe make sure that you have a couple days to spend by yourself. And I know that when I went in 2018, I was with a group for 10 days. And then after the group left, I was there 8 days by myself.
And you met some.
And I met some key people that we're still in relationship with today. So and so
we'll plug a name here. Kokab Gadamu.
Yep, Kokab.
Kokab, if you're listening, I know you are, because I'm going to send this to you.
So, but we just bless you, Kokab, and we're just so glad to partner, especially with the Ethiopians. That's a joy for us. So.
I could think of more, and I want to think of more, but we're going to shut it for this time. You guys come back.
Shalom.
One thing I wanted to say. These trips we take, we call them Ahava, which is love in Hebrew.
Right.
Ahava is another way of saying it. Adventures. Ahava, adventures. And we keep it small, 9, 10, 12. In May of each year, we're going to do a group with 12. Couples, single ladies if you want. But in October of each year, just men.
Just men.
Manly men.
Manly men.
We're going to go hiking. We're going to see places that nobody has gone before on a regular big bus tour. So come to my page, loveforhispeople.com, loveforhispeople.blogspot.com.
Blogspot.com.
I had to give up the other one. It was just costing too much. So I gave it to Haim Malspin in Tiberias.
Yeah.
Hi, Haim. Shalom.
Shalom, everybody.